The night wind moved softly through the tall grass of the African savanna. It carried the smell of dry earth, fire, smoke, and old secrets. Under a wide sky full of stars, the village of Numbala slept in uneasy silence. Round mud huts stood in a circle, their thatched roofs shining faintly in the moonlight. A soul fire burned at the center of the village, its red glow dancing like spirits on the walls. But something was wrong. The drums had stopped beating days ago. The river that once sang beside the village now moved slowly, as if tired. The elders whispered that the land itself was holding its breath. Inside one hut, a child lay awake. Her name was Ao. She was only 12 seasons old, small in body but sharp in spirit. Her eyes were open, watching shadows move across the clay wall as the fire outside cracked and sighed. Ao could hear the wind calling her name. It was not loud, but it was clear. Ao, Ao. She sat up, her heart beating fast. The voice did not sound human. It sounded old, like it came from the mountains beyond the forest, where no child was allowed to go. The elders said ancient spirits lived there, watching the people since the first drum was made. Ao wrapped a cloth around her shoulders and stepped outside. The village was quiet. No dogs barked. No insects sang. Even the fire seemed afraid, its flames low and weak. As Ao looked around, a sudden cold passed through her body. The wind grew stronger, lifting dust and dry leaves into the air. Then she saw it. At the edge of the village, near the old baobab tree, a tall shadow stood. It was not shaped like a man or an animal. It moved like smoke, but stood firm like stone. The moonlight bent around it. Ao wanted to scream, but no sound came out. From the shadow, a deep voice rose, calm and powerful. "Child of Numbala," it said. "The land remembers you." Ao's legs shook, but she did not run. Something inside her told her to listen. "The river is dying," the voice continued. "The forest is angry. The ancestors are restless." Images filled Aos mindhunters returning with empty hands, cracked earth where crops once grew, elders arguing in low voices, afraid of what was coming. "Why are you showing me this?" Ao whispered. The shadows slowly lifted an arm, pointing toward her. "Because the spirits have chosen," it said, "and they have chosen you." The wind roared suddenly, spinning around Ao. The fire at the center of the village flared bright, lighting up every hut. Doors opened, People rushed out, holding spears and torches. The elders came too, their faces tight with fear. "Ao!" her mother cried. "Come back!" But before anyone could reach her, the shadow rose into the air and vanished into the night sky like mist. The wind stopped. The fire settled. Silence returned. The villagers gathered around Elder Cato. The oldest man in Numbala leaned on his carved staff and studied her face. His eyes widened. "The mark," he whispered. On Ao's forehead, faint and glowing, was the shape of a spiro, an ancient sign known only in old stories. "The spirit mark," another elder said. "It has returned." Fear spread through the crowd. "This is bad luck," a hunter muttered. "No," said another. "It is a calling." Elder Cato raised his hand. "Long ago," he said slowly, "the spirits chose a child when the balance of the land was broken. That child walked paths no one else could. Some never returned." Ao swallowed hard. She felt. The mark on her skin burned gently, like warm firelight. "What do the spirits want from me?" she asked. Elder Cato looked toward the dark forest and the distant mountains. "They want you to listen," he said, "and they want you to walk where fear lives." Thunder rolled far away, though the sky was clear. That night, as the villagers returned to their huts, none of them slept. The ancestors had spoken. A child had been chosen. And the fate of Nambala had begun to change. He gathered the village council under the large baobab tree, its branches reaching like fingers to the sky. The elders' faces were lined with worry, their voices hushed and serious. Ao listened carefully, trying to understand. You have been chosen, Cato continued, turning his gaze toward her. As she stepped toward the forest edge, the villagers gathered silently. Fear and hope mingled in their eyes. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying whispers she could almost understand. It's so. The voices quieted, but a deep hum remained, vibrating through the ground and into her bones. Images flashed before her eyes. The river choked with mud, the village in despair, shadows moving through the forest. Then, a face appeared in the light inside the tree. It was neither young nor old, neither male nor female. Its eyes shone like the river in sunlight, and its mouth spoke without moving. If it wakes, all life will fade. Ao left the clearing, the forest growing darker as she moved deeper. She closed her eyes and listened. The sun rose pale and golden over the jagged mountains, spilling light over rocks and mist. Ao shivered, not from the cold, but from the weight of the journey ahead. The path before her was steep and treacherous, winding through cliffs and narrow ledges. The wind howled, carrying distant voices, some gentle, some mocking, some like whispers from long-dead ancestors. Ao gripped her small bundle tightly. The drum beside her hummed softly, as if urging her forward. She remembered the spiritess words from the forest. Even the smallest flame can chase away the deepest shadow. She took a deep breath, letting courage flow through her like warm sunlight. As she climbed higher, the air grew thinner and colder. The rocks under her feet were slippery with moss, too, and the trees became sparse, replaced by strange, jagged shrubs. Shadows stretched long and strange across the slopes, twisting like living fingers. Something moved in the corners of her eyes, but when she turned, nothing was there. By midday, Ao reached a narrow cave, hidden behind a curtain of vines. A strange, blue glow flickered from inside. Her heart thumped in her chest. She remembered the warning. The path was full of tests. This must be one of them. She stepped cautiously inside. The walls of the cave were slick and wet, and the air smelled of earth and water, old and ancient. The glow grew stronger as she moved deeper, pulsing like a heartbeat. She heard a low rumble, not from the mountain, but from beneath her feet. Then she saw it. A pool of water filled the center of the cavern, glowing with the same blue light she had seen in the tree back in the forest. At the edge of the pool, a stone pedestal rose from the ground, carved with strange symbols. On the pedestal rested a small, shining rock, the stone of ancestors. Its surface was smooth, and it radiated warmth, yet a chill ran through the cave. Ao approached slowly. The closer she got, the louder the whispers became. They were not all friendly. Some were mocking, others angry, warning her to turn back. She felt fear creeping into her heart, but she tightened her grip on her small drum. Beating it softly, she focused on the rhythm, on the courage inside her. The whispers grew fainter, and the pool's glow seemed to pulse in approval. Funny. She reached the pedestal. Her fingers trembled as they touched the stone of ancestors. The moment she held it, a rush of images filled her mind. The village, the dry river, her family, the forests, and the spirits themselves. She could feel their sorrow, their hope, their power. And then something darker appeared. A shadow, taller than any man, rose from the pool, black and thick, like smoke made of fear. Its eyes were hollow, and its voice rolled through the cavern like thunder. "You dared take what is mine," it growled. "The balance is mine to destroy." Ao's heart hammered, and her legs shook. She wanted to drop the stone and run, but the thought of Nombala, her village, stopped her. She took a deep breath and beat the drum faster. The rhythm filled the cave, echoing off the walls, blending with the pulsing light of the pool. The shadow recoiled, its edges flickering like smoke in the wind. It tried to attack, but every beat of the drum sent a ripple through the water and through the stone. Fear trembled and faltered. "You cannot frighten me," Ao whispered, louder this time. "Oh, I am chosen by the spirits, and I will protect my village." For a long, tense moment, nothing moved. Then, slowly, the shadow shrank, folding into itself like a curtain of night being drawn back. The cave grew still. The pool's glow became calm, steady, and warm. Ao stood trembling, holding the stone of ancestors. She had passed the first test. The spirit's power flowed through her now, not just in the stone, but in her courage and her heart. She realized something important. The darkness was not invincible. Even the smallest light, when brave, could push it back. As she prepared to leave the cave, the water stirred. A vision appeared above the pool, the river flowing full and bright, and the village, green and alive. The spirits' voices whispered together, gentle and strong. "Go, child of Numbala. The journey is far from over. You carry hope, but the greatest challenge waits beyond the mountains. Trust in yourself and remember the mark." Ao nodded, holding the stone tightly. She stepped out of the cave, the mountain wind rushing past her like applause. Chilled down at the valley below steep cliffs, forests, and finally, the dark outline of her village in the distance. Her heart swelled with determination. She had discovered the stone of ancestors, and with it, the power to heal. But the shadow's warning haunted her. The darkness was still alive. She would need every ounce of courage and wisdom for the trials ahead. The climb down would be treacherous, the journey back even more so. But Ao understood something now. She was no longer just a child. She was the chosen one. And her village's fate rested on her shoulders. The sun dipped behind the mountains, casting long shadows over the land. "Somewhere," the river whispered, waiting for its heart to return. Ao began her descent, the stone glowing softly in her hands. Her heart steady with purpose and a quiet determination burning brighter than any fear. Ozio's journey down the mountains was slower than climbing up. The stone of ancestors felt heavier now, not from its weight, but from the power within it. The wind tugged at her hair and clothes, as if testing her resolve. The forest below seemed darker than she remembered, and a strange stillness hung over the land. The birds no longer sang. Even the insects were silent. By evening, she reached the edge of the forest. The valley stretched below, with the river running thin and brown through the heart of the land. Smoke rose faintly from the village, but it was not the usual cooking fires. Panic and fear hung in the air. She quickened her pace. As she entered the village, her eyes widened. Numbala was under attack. The shadow from the cave had followed her, though in a darker, more twisted form. It moved like mist through the streets, whispering voices that froze villages in place. Huts shuddered as if the wind itself carried anger, and the cattle bellowed in fear. Children cried, and mothers screamed. "Ao!" her mother shouted, rushing toward her, tears streaming down her face. "What has come upon us?" Ao held up the stone. Its blue glow pushed back the shadows slightly, but not enough. "It's the darkness from the mountain," she shouted. "It's come to take the river and our village." Elder Cato appeared, leaning heavily on his staff. His face was pale, but his eyes held determination. "Child, you have the stone. You must use it wisely. You cannot fight with strength alone. The shadow feeds on fear. You must show courage and awaken the spirits to aid you." The villagers stared, unsure if hope could truly return. The shadow hissed and stretched its long, smoky arms toward them. It whispered in voices of their deepest fears: failures, loss, death. Many froze, overwhelmed by panic. O's heart pounded, but she forced herself to stand tall. Closing her eyes, she began to beat the drum. Slowly, at first, then stronger, faster, filling the night with its rhythm. The stone pulsed in her hands, echoing the beat. "Listen to me," Ao cried. "I am chosen. The spirits are with me. We will not let you take our home." The shadow recoiled, screeching, twisting into darker shapes. But still, it advanced. Ao realized something. Beating the drum alone was not enough. She needed the village to believe, to join her courage. She shouted to the villagers, "Do not be afraid. Together, we can protect our home. Follow me." Slowly, the hunters raised their spears. Mothers and children lit small fires, holding torches high. Even Elder Cato raised his staff. One by one, the villagers' courage grew, forming a wall of light and hope. The shadow shrieked, trying to tear through, but each heartbeat of courage, each spark of belief, weakened it. Ao felt a surge of energy from the stone. She raised it high, and a beam of blue light shot upward, connecting to the stars above. From the heavens, whispers of the ancestors returned, joining her rhythm, their voices strong and clear. The shadow screamed, twisting violently. It tried one final attack, rushing at Ao, but she did not flinch. She stepped forward, letting the stone glow brighter, letting the drum echo through every heart in the village. "Go back to the darkness." She shouted, "This land is ours, protected by the spirits and by every life that breathes here." A howl erupted. The shadow writhed, twisting and shattering like smoke caught in sunlight. Pieces of it fled, dissolving into the night wind. Finally, with a last echoing shriek, it vanished completely, leaving the village in silence, broken only by the river flowing once again, full, clear, singing. The villagers stared in awe. Thorta shimmered in the firelight, glistening under the stars. Fish leaped, birds returned to the trees, and the air smelled sweet, like new beginnings. Mothers hugged their children. Hunters sheathed their spears. Even the wind seemed to whisper thanks. Ao lowered the stone, exhausted but alive. Her body shook, her heart still racing, but pride and relief filled her chest. Elder Cato stepped forward, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You have done what no one else could," he said. "You have faced the darkness and brought hope back to Nombala. You are truly chosen. Ao, the spirits will remember this day forever." Tears filled Ao's eyes as the villagers gathered around, chanting softly, honoring the courage of the child who had saved them all. But she also knew something more important. Courage, unity, and faith could push back even the greatest fear. And she knew in her heart that the trials had changed her forever. The battle was won, but the lesson had just begun. The morning sun rose over Nombala, painting the savanna in shades of gold and amber. The river ran full and sparkling, but the air carried tension. Ao knew the shadow's remnants had not disappeared completely. Somewhere deep in the forest or high in the mountains, darkness still lingered, waiting for weakness. Today, she would face it fully, not alone, but with her village at her side. Elder Cato gathered the council once more under the great baobab tree. "The shadow is clever," he warned. "It attacks through fear, doubt, and anger. But united, we can banish it for good. We must act together. Ao, you hold the stone of ancestors. It is the key. Ao nodded. Sla! The weight of responsibility pressed on her, but so did the courage she had discovered on the mountain. She looked at the villagers' hunters, mothers, children, elders, each of them trembling, yet ready. The drum in her hands felt like an extension of her heartbeat. As they moved toward the edge of the forest, a chill wind swept through the village. Shadows stretched unnaturally long across the ground. The air vibrated with whispers, some threatening, some mocking. The stone glowed faintly, pulsing with life. Then the darkness revealed itself. From the forest, black smoke twisted upward, forming monstrous shapes. Eyes glimmered in the shadows, and a deep, guttural voice echoed, "You think you can defeat me? You are weak, scared, and small." Ao stepped forward. "We're not alone," she shouted. "The spirits are with us. Nombala is strong, and together we will not fall." The shadows surged, rushing like a river of night, aiming for the villagers. Fear gripped many hearts, and some faltered. Ao closed her eyes, feeling the rhythm of the drum in her hands. She beat it slowly, then faster, then in a powerful, steady rhythm that echoed through the ground, the trees, and the river. The stone glowed brighter with each pulse, sending beams of blue light into the sky. The villagers followed her lead. Hunters raised their spears high, their tips catching the light. Women lit torches and chanted protective songs, their voices joining the drumbeat. Children clutched small charms, their whispered prayers mingling with the rhythm. Even the elders, leaning on staffs and walking sticks, spoke words of power and encouragement. The shadow recoiled as if the sound and light burned it, yet it did not vanish. It twisted, forming hundreds of smaller shapes, attacking from all sides. The villagers felt fear rising again, and some began to retreat. Ao's heart pounded. She realized that courage alone might not be enough. It had to be shared, multiplied, and protected. She ran forward, holding the stone high. A bright beam shot from it, cutting through the darkness. The smaller shadows shrieked and swelled, trying to escape the light. Ao closed her eyes and focused, imagining the river full, the village safe, the ancestors smiling. "Be gone," she shouted with all her strength. "Leave this land and never return." The stone pulsed violently. The drum echoed through every heart. The villagers, inspired by her courage, joined their voices in one strong chant. The shadows shrieked in fury, twisting and writhing like smoke caught in a storm. Thawed, carrying the villagers' song across the savanna, through the mountains, and into the stars. Suddenly, the main shadow lunged toward Ao. She raised the stone just in time. A brilliant explosion of blue light filled the clearing. The sound of the drum, the chants, and the wind blended into a deafening roar. When the light faded, the shadow was gone. The smaller dark shapes had dissolved, leaving the forest quiet and still. The villagers fell to their knees, exhausted but alive. The river sparkled in the sun, birds returned to the trees, and the air smelled sweet like fresh earth after rain. Ao lowered the stone, her arms trembling. As Elder Cato approached, his face proud. "You have done what even the bravest warriors could not. You have faced fear, united the village, and restored balance." Au looked around at her people, at the river running full again, at the fires burning safely in their homes. She realized the truth of the Spirit's words. Even the smallest flame, when shared, could chase away the deepest darkness. Her mother hugged her tightly, tears streaming. "My brave child," she whispered. "You have saved us all." Celebir. The villagers began to celebrate, singing and dancing around the fire. Ao sat quietly for a moment, holding the stone. She could feel the spirits smiling, their power flowing through her. She had discovered courage, hope, and the strength that comes when a community stands together. The wind rustled through the trees, gentle and warm, Thor. The mountains loomed peacefully in the distance, and the forest whispered its approval. Ao understood now that her journey was not only about fighting the darkness, it was about learning the power of unity, bravery, and trust. She had faced the shadow and won, but she also knew that true strength came from the hearts of those who believed together. As night fell, the village of Nombala shone brightly under the stars. The drums beat once more, strong and steady. The river sang a full, joyful song. And the spirits of the ancestors watched over the child who had saved her home, proud and eternal. The battle was won, but the lesson was everlasting. The first light of dawn spread across the savanna, painting the grass and river in shades of gold and pink. Nombala breathed as if waking from a long nightmare. The villagers emerged from their huts, cautious at first, then smiling as the reality of safety settled in. The river flowed full and clear, the trees swayed gently in the morning breeze, and birds sang songs of life returning. Areo stood at the edge of the village, holding the stone of ancestors in her hands. Its glow was soft now, warm and steady, a reminder of the power she had carried. The village gathered around her silently, their eyes wide with respect and awe. They had witnessed not just her bravery, but the courage that comes from unity, hope, and trust. Elder Cato approached slowly, leaning on his staff. His eyes were bright with pride. "Ao," he said softly, "you have done more than fight darkness. You have reminded us all what it means to be a community, to trust in one another, and to believe in the unseen. The spirits have chosen wisely." Ao looked down at the stone. Memories of the journey flowed through her mind. The mountain cave, the pool of light, the shadow that tried to engulf her village, and the river flowing once more. She realized the truth. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. Strength comes not from one person alone, but from the hearts that join together. The villagers began to chant softly, their voices blending with the wind, the river, and the trees. It was a song of gratitude, a song of renewal. Even the youngest children clapped their small hands, feeling the magic of the moment. Ao smiled, tears in her eyes, knowing she had fulfilled her role as the chosen one. Her mother stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You have given us more than safety," she whispered. "You have shown us hope, and hope will carry our village through any darkness." Ao nodded. She felt the warmth of the stone flow through her, connecting her to the ancestors, to the river, to the land itself. She knew the spirits would always watch over Nombala, and that their power would guide those with courage and hearts open to their wisdom. As the sun climbed higher, the villagers worked together to repair the damage caused by the shadow. They rebuilt huts, tended the riverbanks, and cleared the forest paths. Everyone contributed, their spirits lifted by the knowledge that together they were stronger than any darkness. Elder Cato gathered the village one last time before the sun reached its peak. "Let this day be remembered," he said. We have learned a truth older than the mountains themselves. Darkness will always try to find a way, but when we face it together with courage, faith, and unity, we can overcome anything. Let the story of Ayo, the child chosen by the spirits, guide our children, and their children after them. Ayo looked around at the faces of her friends, her family, and her people. She understood the lesson now. Deep in her heart, no matter how small or young, one can make a difference when they act with love, bravery, and hope. The darkness may return someday, but so too will courage, and it will always shine brighter when shared. The wind whispered through the village, gentle and approving. The river sparkled, laughing over smooth stones. The fires burned safely in every home, their lights steady and warm. Away, placed the stone of ancestors at the center of the village, on a carved pedestal beneath the baobab tree, where it could watch over them all. And as night fell, stars blanketed the sky, shining brighter than before. the villagers sang, danced, and celebrated their renewed home. Every heartbeat of the drum, every voice lifted in song, carried the message far into the mountains, forests, and savannas. Courage, unity, and hope could conquer even the greatest darkness. Ao sat quietly by the river, feeling the gentle ripple against her hands. The spirits had chosen her, but the victory had belonged to all. She closed her eyes, listening to the river, the wind, and the whispers of the ancestors. The moral of her journey was clear. It would echo through generations. True strength comes not from one alone, but from the courage to face fear, the wisdom to follow guidance, and the unity to stand together. Even the smallest heart can shine like a beacon when it is fueled by hope and love. And so, the village of Nombala flourished once more, protected by the courage of a child, guided by ancient spirits, and strengthened by the unity of its people. The river sang, the drums beat, and the wind carried the story of Ao forever, a reminder that even in the darkest times, light can prevail. The spirits were pleased. The village was safe. And the lesson of bravery, faith, and togetherness would live on forever.